we're gonna do it again. We have to
Do it
record first,
again.
then we're gonna do it
Yes.
again.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining November APAC community call today. So we're gonna celebrate Chungsu's marriage first. Congratulations, Chungsu, and thank you for joining the call today. Yeah. And so we have like several topics to cover today. We have like two or three. So first we're gonna go to share some Odyssey news, and then we're gonna have a small group of collaborators whose contributions and research have been very noteworthy. So yeah, we have Lu Li and Changhoon and Cynthia, and I see them are here. So thanks guys for coming. So yeah, okay, so I believe we already covered the release of the latest update of the Odyssey standardized vocabularies last month. But we have a bunch of improved mapping in new drugs and procedures and lab tests and improved and also in conditions. So this is our this year's second update of the standardized vocabulary is very significant release. So because we sometimes have lost in the granularity of the mapping, but this time we had these machinery hierarchies, so now covers a lot of in the vocabularies. So for those who are in the Odyssey network studies, on a regular basis. So please do make sure to update the latest standardized vocabulary. And we also have a Africa symposium last week, like 10 days ago. So that was their very first symposium. So I heard there were so many like registrations, like 500 people like registration. There are like 5 more restorations. So I was very curious how it went, but I couldn't find any updates from the Odyssey website yet. But yeah, but I could
Okay.
find several
Well,
news and
Cynthia
then
is here who can talk about it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
I actually have some
Yeah.
slides that I,
Yeah. So
well, it wasn't 500 registration. It was like 420
oh,
because it
420,
was free
still a lot.
registration.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot. And so then actually when it hit 250, we waitlisted people.
Hmm.
And then when it hit 410, we closed it, or 420, we closed the portal. And then we sent out a survey
Hmm.
asking people about their travel arrangements and,
Hmm.
you know, like dietary preferences and things like that, just to sort of gauge
Hmm.
the seriousness of people coming.
Yeah.
So I think we got around 140 replies, which was good because we had budgeted for 150. So,
Wow.
but
170.
oh, have we? Okay, but
Yeah, we
anyway,
had
we were coming.
170. Yeah.
But then I think still only maybe 120 showed up. Mui,
Yep.
what was the number
About
you heard?
100. Yeah. 72 showed up for the tutorial on day one, and they stayed for the whole thing. All 72 stayed. And then
Okay.
for the actual symposium, about 120 or 125.
Yeah, so it's so like, I don't know, this free registration where there's like no skin in the game to show up or not is a little bit risky. Anyway, um, so yeah, but I think it went well. And the other thing that seemed to be a little bit peculiar is that a lot of speakers were like not showing up at the last
Oh,
minute, even though they had been confirmed like within the previous week.
wow.
So there was a lot of scrambling around, but
Yeah.
I think it seemed to work okay. Mui said that I packed the agenda too much. I need to give more time for networking, which is true because I mean, you can always listen to the recording, but the whole point of being in person is to meet other people.
Mhm.
But it was a nice mix, I think, of people from government,
Mhm.
industry, students, and clinicians.
Nice.
So that's what I heard. And
I agree. I think it was a very successful, and I have to say thanks to Cynthia to actually do a lot of the logistics and also a lot of the coordination behind the scene. I think overall it's the first one, and as the first one, of course, the expectations are lower, but I think it turned out to be a bit more above our expectations. And I think at the end of it, there was a lot of momentum going into how Odyssey Africa as an org, as an organization, as a group can collaborate with each other and how to figure out what 2026 is going to look like. So I think it's actually quite successful. And we have to thank the host too, JCRC, Joint Clinical Research Center, because it's a lot of work to host the symposium.
Yeah, definitely. So here, I'll just show you a few slides that I had put together, and then, I meant to show yesterday, but I was so tired I slept through
Oh,
the
you're
global
fine. It's
meeting.
okay.
So, whoops, let's see, how do I swap displays? Okay. Whoop, you see it? Yeah, okay. So the signage was beautiful that they created. And then we had the day one tutorial, which was Mui's exercises that we just slightly tweaked for the Africa context. And there was tremendous interest in this, because we originally only were going to have 60 people for the tutorials, and like 110 people wanted to come. So we got another room, we got a whole bunch more instructors. The nice thing also is that there are a lot of people at the African Population Health Research Center who are, who have taught enough of the Odyssey that they could lead some of the sessions. So that was really great. So this was the tutorial group. So see, that was the 70 some people, and that was at the JCRC. And then we moved over to the hotel, which was also just, the stage was so beautiful. And you can see it was very spacious, very comfortable. And on the left is Dr. Sissy, who's the executive director of the Joint Clinical Research Center. And really, her leadership was essential for pulling this off. Between her and Agnes, they just know a lot of people in Africa. So Paul Mbake, who's the assistant commissioner for the Department of Health Information, he was there on the first day. And then this woman, Brenda Nakazibui, from the Science, Tech, and Innovation Secretariat, Office of the President. She came on day 2. And then this is all of us at the end. And so we appear to have gotten the agreement for the next one to be in Ethiopia.
Wow.
Maybe the Africa CDC combined with the Amar Hauser, something like that, Health Research Center, will jointly work on that. So that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cynthia, for the fresh update. And yeah, so I was just gonna ask Cynthia and Mui for the recap. So I was thinking of chasing you guys for the next recap at the upcoming community call, but we already got a brief one. But yeah, I will keep in touch with you guys. Thank you.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I got some photos from the social networks, and I got them here. So we can see Mui and Cynthia right here. And that's it.
Yeah, so this was a really nice panel discussion. They had
Yeah, it sounds so.
actually on the screen is the county health minister of a county in Kisumu, Kisumu County in Kenya, and this is yeah. So it was really, I think, very stimulating.
Yeah.
And this is Alex Iswimi. He's a Ugandan who works at Gilead, and Gilead was
Alex.
the
Oh.
major sponsor for the conference. And I don't know how you guys raise money for your APAC, but boy, we were really trying to find the last few $1,000s was kind of hard.
Wow. Nice. Okay, thank you, Cynthia, but we have stuff to go, so I'm just gonna push forward, okay? Yeah. So we have a summer school in the Columbia University, and it is still open. So anyone who's interested in, just scan the QR and look through. And then we have the APAC Symposium coming soon in a few weeks. So we've been preparing the symposium really hard. So whoever interested in APAC Symposium, so the registration is still open and we're only 15 days away. So please register here. And
How many
I
people
think
have registered?
how many? Almost like 65, 62, 62. How many was it, Song? It was like 60
No, it's
or 70.
82.
82.
It's 82.
Okay. My bad.
Okay.
It's 82. But yeah, I think China folks are like usually registered on that day. So I think we're expecting more than that. Yeah.
We
And
expect 200.
yeah,
Oh my
maximum
God.
200.
So it's like the opposite. It's like you have fewer people and then all of a sudden all these people show up. Wow.
Mhm. I think that's how they work.
China is like that. The last week
Uh-huh.
they all register.
Yeah. So I think this is my first time presenting the agenda, but please note that the timing may still shift slightly, and but the overall flow is fixed. So on a day one, on a tutorial day, we have introduction of OHDSI and AMAP and CDM and vocabulary and conversion process and ETL exercises. And in the afternoon session, we're gonna go through the OHDSI analysis, the how to build the cohorts, and there's gonna be a lot of tutors gonna help out with the whole process, and we're gonna handle cohort diagnostics and population level estimation. And with that results, teachers gonna also gives us a lecture to how to interpret the results. On day two, which is a main conference, in the morning session, we have the opening speech, and there's gonna keynote speech from the OHDSI Global, and APAC regional chapter is gonna give their updates too. Also, we have the OHDSI Africa session. So I think Alex that Cynthia just mentioned he's gonna show up. I'm not sure, but we
Oh.
also have the OHDSI Africa chapter session too. And in session two, we will start with the updates of the 3 study lists from the 2025 APEC studies. Fudan and Peking and USTC team's gonna show up, and they're gonna like briefly tells us how the journey goes, because it was their first time following the OHDSI framework study. So it's gonna be gives us a lot of insight too. After the journey, journey of the APEC study team, so we will hear a journal perspectives followed by a panel discussion to reflect on the key themes from the session. On the session 3, so we have the shift. The session 3 is going to shift the focus to real world evidence and AMAP and OHDSI. So we're going to begin with the series of the lightning talks from the collaborators, and then move to the 3 short talks on the real world evidence. And after that, we're going to highlight some how AMAP and OHDSI is being used to generate the real world evidence. Finally, the panel is going to discuss the opportunities and the challenges in using AMAP and OHDSI for the real world evidence in China. So all these panels going to be people from the professors from the China. So yeah, that's how it goes. So all these details gonna on the APAC on the OHDSI.org website. So please look through. And if you have any questions with registration and other stuff, just contact the coordination team through this email. So Cynthia, you have any questions here?
Yeah, so if those of you who went to the Global Symposium, you remember the tossing around the
Yeah.
globes, right?
Don't give it away, please. Please do not give that away.
Oh,
Bring,
I'm sorry.
No.
yeah.
Do not give away any of that stuff, please.
Oh, well, I thought it was already announced. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go. Okay, Song, do you have anything to add on from what I said? No, no comments here.
Nope.
Okay, thank you. And so we so I think we have the session. Oh, hi Key, you have anything to mention here?
Yeah, I missed the part that Mui said do not disclose. Can somebody repeat that?
No,
Do not disclose.
do not
Yeah, Chi,
disclose.
it means do not disclose, right?
Chi, you do realize you work for me, right, Chi? Let me put it that way, Chi.
Okay, can I start now? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I think before we start the highlight of the collaborators showcase, so I think I can briefly introduce the presenters and get started. And before I start, I know like there's a lot of like like significant time difference. So once again, Lou, thank you for joining the call today. And so Lil is from the University of Pennsylvania, and I was in her lightning talk, and it was very impressive that to see how she achieved the efficient and lossless target trial emulation through the federated data collaboration. So yeah, that's Liu. And we have Chang'un from Korea, and he's a pediatrician and also a data scientist. And I remember we already had him a few months ago in our community call, but like to introduce his participation and leadership in the OHDSI Global Guidance Evidence with aka GDE. Um, so I think this time we can hear his journey through the whole year at this time. And at last but not least, we have Cynthia. We all know her, but I had a chance to talk to Cynthia about her ongoing study. So I found it very interesting, especially the part that showing the characterization of the birth data can lead to meaningful insights and interpretations. So Lou, I think I can hand over to you, and you can share your screen on your side. Okay.
Yeah, sounds great. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Thank you, Jiwon, for the great warm introduction. Yeah, it's really fun to hear and exciting to hear all the amazing activities and conferences going on within the OHDSI community all over the world. Yeah, so today I'll be presenting our work, LATTE, which stands for a one-shot lossless algorithm for federated target trial emulation. My name is Lu Li, and I'm a final year PhD candidate at UPenn, advised by Dr. Yong Chen. Yeah. So first, let me provide a little bit background and motivation for this LATTE method. As we all know, target trial emulation has emerged as a powerful framework for generating reliable real-world evidence using observational data, and they are increasingly being used to support regulatory decision-making, and it mainly works by mimicking the design principles of randomized controlled trials. However, a key challenge in performing target trial emulation using like single-site data is that after applying the rigorous eligibility criteria required for a robust emulation, we often end up with substantially smaller sample sizes, and this is especially true for rare diseases or complex conditions such as ADRD. And to give you an example, for one drug repurposing study that we conducted for ADRD, Alzheimer's disease, and related dementia, we used Penn Medicine database, which contains electronic health records for over 6.5 million patients. But after applying the inclusion criteria, for example, by requiring the age constraints and applying the washout, and we end up with like only 16,000 patients. And for a drug repurposing study, we need to divide the patients into different drug groups. And after further dividing the patients into like the drug groups, we end up with only hundreds of patients for each of the target trial emulation analysis. At the same time, the criteria or standards for using real-world evidence to support regulatory decision-making, such as drug safety profiles or drug relabeling, the standards is high. According to the FDA guidance, for a real-world evidence to be used to support regulatory decision-making, the underlying real-world data need to be reliable and relevant. And specifically, by relevant, it means the data should include key study variables and a sufficient number of representative patients for the study. And this motivates us to use use data from multiple sites and conduct international multi-site studies. And OHDSI provides a great platform to reach the scale and diversity needed to have a broad population. The OHDSI network has over 4,000 collaborators across 83 countries, and it by leveraging this multi-site data, we can have enlarged sample size, greater statistical power, and to be able to generate more relevant and reliable real-world evidence. However, a key challenge in conducting international multi-site study is that the individual patient level data cannot be shared across different sites due to country or region-specific laws. And to overcome this challenge, privacy-preserving federated learning algorithms have been developed. They can enable us to run multi-site studies without sharing individual patient data, but by only require sharing some summary-level statistics. And within the OHDSI network, several studies have been successfully run using federated learning algorithms. For example, including for the linear mixed models, generalized linear models, and generalized linear mixed models. And to apply those federated learning algorithms for healthcare applications, there are some unique desirable properties for our specific use case. The first one is one shot, meaning that only a single round of communication is required in practice. This can help us avoid the logistical communication costs when we have many data partners. And second property is lossless, meaning that the results we obtain by using the federated algorithms should be identical to the pooled analysis, ideally with no accuracy loss. And to date, only a few algorithms have achieved both lossless and one-shot properties simultaneously, and they're mainly for regression tasks. And therefore, we still need to develop federated learning algorithms for target trial emulation. And for target trial emulation, there is an additional desirable property that we need to consider, that is the ability to handle unmeasured confounding. And we can achieve this property by mitigating residual systematic bias by using a set of negative control outcomes. And negative control outcomes are some outcomes known a priori to be unrelated to the exposure. For example, in this Legend T2DM study published in JAC, the authors used tooth loss as an NCO that is known to be unrelated to the antihypoglycemic treatments. And with these properties in mind, we proposed our method called Latte, a one-shot lossless algorithm for federated target trial emulation. So here is how Latte works. At each collaborating site, they will fit a site-specific propensity score model, and then they will perform PS stratification, and then they only need to compute the summary statistics, which specifically is the contingency table for each stratum. And we need to collect this contingency table for each outcome, which includes the outcome of interest as well as the negative control outcomes. And we only need to collect these contingency tables for each outcome and stratum combinations. And this process will be repeated at each site, will be run in parallel and independently. And afterwards, they can share the summary statistics, i.e. the contingency tables, to the coordinating center. And at the coordinating center, we can reconstruct the log likelihood for a conditional Poisson regression model or conditional logistic regression model using the summary statistics only. And then we can estimate the parameter of interest using maximum likelihood as estimation, and then obtain the treatment effects for those outcomes. And the second step is we should perform NCO empirical calibration, where we can estimate the size of the systematic bias using the negative control outcomes treatment effects, and then subtract that systematic bias from the treatment effect for the outcome of interest. And then this process will give us the debiased treatment effect estimate. So to validate that latte is lossless, we performed a simulation study where we randomly split the data at Penn Medicine into 3 sites, and we compared the results from the pooled analysis and from latte. And here the plots show the effect size and standard errors of the pooled analysis and latte. And as we can see, all the points lie on this diagonal line, meaning that the latte achieves lossless results comparing with the pooled analysis. And to demonstrate the real-world usability of latte, we applied it to a real-world application for ADRD drug repurposing. So the scientific question we had was, which commonly used drugs can potentially be repurposed to slow down the progression from mild cognitive impairment to ADRD? And we used data sets from 4 large-scale health learning systems, including Penn Medicine, Yale Medicine, Insight Clinical Research Network, and One Florida Clinical Research Network. In total, they covers over 40 million patients. And we were able to identify over 12,000, over 120,000 patients with MCI. And we used 3 sites as the discovery set and Yale site as the external validation set. So for the candidate drugs, we identified 112 commonly used drugs that have been prescribed to at least 100 patients for 2 consecutive times, spanning over 30 days. And each of the, we run a target trial emulation for each of the candidate drugs as the trial drug, and we used 2 active control drug groups as the control. And I will talk about this a little bit more late in the next slide. Yeah. And for the control group patients, we require they have no prescription of the trial drug before. So here is our how we constructed the active control groups. So the active control, we are the drugs that are known to have some mild protective effects for AD progression. And the goal is to avoid false positives. We had 2 active control groups. The first one contains 29 supplement drugs. Those drugs are known to have some mild protective effects for ADRD. And we had a second active control group consisting of 63 cardiovascular health medications. We use this as the sensitivity group because these drugs are known to have some stronger protective effects for ADRD. Yeah, so here's an illustration of the active control strategy. So here the treatment effects were made up and only for illustrative purpose. So think of this as, suppose we have some trial drug. If we compare it with some placebo control, it might have a treatment effect. But if we compare it with active control group from the supplements group, the treatment effect should be weaker because the supplement drugs already have some existing mild protective effects. And when we compare the trial drug with the active control 2 group, which are the cardiovascular medications, it should have a even weaker protective effects because we know that cardiovascular medications have some protective effects for slowing down AD progression. Yeah. So for the outcome of interest, we define it as the new ADRD onset as the diagnosis of ADRD within a 5-year follow-up period. And follow-up is defined as from the baseline date until the date of either a first ADRD diagnosis, lost to follow-up, or 5 years after the baseline period, whichever happens first. We consulted some domain experts in neurology, and we identified 25 negative control outcomes that are known like a priori to be unrelated to the treatment drugs, and that can help to identify systematic bias and later calibrate the results. Yeah, here's the list of 25 negative control outcomes that we used. Yeah, so here's the results. We identified 25 drug candidates from 6 drug classes, including the GLP-1 RAs, steroids and anti-inflammatory agents, cardiovascular and metabolic drugs, neuromodulatory and anesthetic agents, and some GI agents and antibiotics. For each of the identified drug candidates, we have 3 sites data. We used 3 sites data as the discovery set, and then we synthesized the results using both meta-analysis and latte. And we used Yale's data set as the validation set. And we used the active control 2 group, which are the cardiovascular medications as control, as the sensitivity results. And as we can see, the protective effects when comparing with the active control 2 group is weaker than the primary analysis when using supplements as the control, which is expected based on the study design. And as new patients come to the database, come to the hospitals, we might have data for more and more data for new patients. And if we just do federated analysis at one time, that estimate is a static point, but we might want to be able to do this kind of federated analysis over time to continuously monitor drug effects, for example, for some newly released drugs. And as we can see, we performed one experiment for the GLP-1 RA drugs. As we can see, at the beginning of the study period, like in 2020, if we only use data available up to 2020, the protective effects of GLP-1 RAs were not significant. But as more data becomes available, the treatment effect of GLP-1 RA becomes significantly protective and gradually stabilizes as we move on to like a few years later. Yeah. So in summary, latte performs federated target triangulation in a one-shot lossless manner while mitigating systematic biases using negative control outcomes. And it achieves this by sharing of summary statistics only. And it is ready to use within our PDA package and ready to be implemented within the OHDSI network studies. Yeah, and here's acknowledgements to my co-authors and collaborators and data partners. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Lou. Yeah, it makes more sense to me the second time around. So thank you, Lou. But we have a time constraint, so I think we're gonna take the questions after the presentation. Okay?
Yeah, sounds
thank
great.
you, Lou.
Thank you.
I think next Changhen can you share your screen by your end, please? Yep.
Okay. Can you see this?
Yep. Nice and clear.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Shang Han, and thank you for the introduction earlier. And I am here to present you about my study comparing ticagrelor versus prasugrel. Well, I did give you an introduction to this topic earlier this year, so let me keep the background brief because there's restraint on time too. So dual antiplatelet therapy is the cornerstone of medical treatment in acute coronary syndrome undergoing percutaneous coronary intervention. It's combined therapy of aspirin and one P2Y12 inhibitor. And among the currently available oral P2Y12 inhibitors, there's clopidogrel, prasugrel, and ticagrelor. And these two drugs, prasugrel and ticagrelor, are what we are interested about currently. So in 2019, ISAR-REACT-5 was a phase 4 open-label trial that compared these two drugs. And contrary to previous beliefs that ticagrelor was the better choice, prasugrel proved to be the better in composite outcome, and it raised great controversy. Well, the results of ISAR-REACT-5 was quickly incorporated into the European guidelines in 2023. And in ESC guideline 2023, it clearly states that prasugrel is the better choice over ticagrelor. However, American guidelines being much more conservative towards changes like this, only introduces ISAR-REACT-5 results, but does not incorporate it into their recommendations. So this discrepancy between the guideline was where we focused on. Well, the methods are mostly familiar, and it's basically standard networks OHDSI study. We were able to incorporate a lot of data sources. We got access to multi-market databases in US, CCAE and MDCR database, and EHR databases from Massachusetts and Penn State Health. And we were able to get access to Korean National Claims Database, HERA. So
Sorry, Chana, sorry for interrupt. I only see your latest guideline slide right now. Is your slide frozen or something?
sorry, wait a minute.
Yep.
I'll share it again.
Take your time.
You see it now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the criteria for the study population was inclusion of adults with 18 years or higher with ACS undergoing PCI initiated with ticagrelor or prasugrel. Exclusion was prior stroke, GI bleeding, and oral anticoagulants that may affect the choice of ticagrelor or prasugrel within 6 months. This is the overall study design. The index date was defined at the date of percutaneous coronary intervention. And the inclusion criteria is as follows. The eligibility check was done with exposure to the target or comparator drug and occurrence of the condition. And there had to be at least 1 year worth of observation before the index. And for exclusion criteria, we had the history look back of excluding stroke and GI bleeding and medication check of no exposure to the opposite drug and other P2Y12 inhibitors and other anticoagulants that may affect the choice between ticagrelor and prasugrel. The at-risk time was primarily 1 year. We wanted to see the intention to treat 1 year outcome, and the primary outcome was MACE, major adverse cardiovascular events, and a lot of other composite outcomes and individual outcomes were all included in the secondary outcomes. And we also conducted sensitivity analysis on intention to treat 1 month, 3 month, and on treatment outcomes too. So this was the overall design. For statistical analysis, we conducted covariate adjustment with propensity score stratification mainly. And for sensitivity analysis, we also conducted PS matching. Outcome model was done with Cox proportional hazards model. And we required these 3 diagnostics to be passed to be included in the final meta-analysis. Briefly, after PS adjustment, we saw the adjusted covariates and max SDM below 0.1 our target. And empirical equipoise was estimated with preference scores. At least 20% patients with preference score between 0.3 and 0.7 was considered in the equipoise, and sufficient equipoise was required to pass the diagnostics. Also, systematic error was calculated with negative control outcomes. We formulated 100 negative control outcomes for this case, and after calculating the systematic error, a certain level of systematic error below 0.10 to 0.25 was required to pass the diagnostics. So these were the results. After conducting all of the diagnostics, only 2 databases were saved. Some smaller databases did not pass the diagnosis, mainly because of the small sample size, and only HERA, which is a national database, so we expected HERA to pass the diagnostics. Only CCAE among the US claims database passed the diagnostics. So we had to conduct meta-analysis only using these 2 databases. So this is the primary outcome that I presented in the OHDSI Global. There was no clear difference between the 2 drugs based on the meta-analysis results. But you can see that the heterogeneity is quite high, and in CCA showing very clear preference to prasugrel, and HIRA showing no preference whatsoever towards either drug, this was the main cause of this heterogeneity. This is the sensitivity analysis covering different PS adjustment method and different at-risk times, when we can see that there's no clear difference between the 2 drugs, even in the sensitivity analysis. And all of the secondary analysis did not show any difference whatsoever between the ticagrelor and prasugrel. So our conclusion right now, based on current data, is that there's no clear difference between the 2 drugs, but because there's only 2 databases with high heterogeneity with clear different characteristics were included for the meta-analysis, it limits our certainty of results. So our next steps. We are still recruiting data partners. We got promise from Taipei Medical University, Stanford, and University of Texas Southwestern to submit their results after running the package. But as you can see, we still want more data. And if you're interested in our study, you can contact us anytime. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Chang'en. We have Fook here, right? Yeah, Fook is here joining the community call, so you can push him to run the package ASAP for you.
Yeah, my colleague
Yeah.
Septi, she's on this study.
Oh, Septi is here too.
Yep.
Okay.
Septi, please.
Okay, thank you,
Please.
Chang'en. Please,
Thank
he said,
Yeah.
please, thank you.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. Just wait, okay.
Thanks, Chang'en.
Actually, we are right now we under the process of updating our vocabulary to the version 5.4. So I think after the version 5.4 by the new year 2026, we probably can like apply the package, and we hope we have a good result to chart with the GD study. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, our last presenter, Cynthia, could you please share the screen from your side?
mhm.
Yeah. We only have
Yeah.
like 12 minutes left, so sorry for that.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Where's the presenter view? Oh, switch. Okay, yeah. So this is the poster that I presented at the Global Symposium. And I started this when the maternal I don't know, like fellowship program began at Johns Hopkins. And yep, these are my collaborators on that, on this. So every child that's born in the United States has a U.S. birth certificate filled out. Looks like this. And there's data on the child, the mother, and the father. So actually, each birth certificate generates 3 records for the OMOP CDM. And so the data is available online. You can just download it, and this is kind of what it looks like. They have the data going all the way back to, I don't know, what did I say, 1968 to 2023. But the form changed a few times over the years, but it's been essentially unchanged since 2003. And there's also a user guide that comes with it that explains what the various variables are and what are the possible values associated with it. So we downloaded the 2021 data and then uploaded it to the JHU Azure server. And, you know, it has things like mothers and fathers demographics, mother's health information during pregnancy, the obstetric procedures used during delivery, health of the newborn. And so this is only one certificate is filed for each live birth. So it's not longitudinal data, it's just a single point in time. So the OMOP ETL uses the standard tools that we all use, White Rabbit, Usagi, Athena, Source to Concept Map. Okay. And so we then mapped all the variables. There was 3,669,928 live births in that year. And we mapped them or we categorized them into the different tables: person, visit occurrence, observation, measurement, condition, procedure. So a lot of stuff goes to observation, which is, you know, not super ideal, but yeah. And so these are just some of the results. So this is the maternal age. So it was mean age was 31. So this is, you know, even if it's the second or third child of the mother. And then this is, I think this is the slide that really shocked Jiwan, because this is the newborn weight, and the average weight is 3.6 kilograms, which I don't know what it is in Asia, but I think it's a lot less than that. And then the maternal health, 32.1% delivered by cesarean delivery. 25.7%. The mother takes antibiotics during the labor. And let's see, something like 9.1% had gestational hypertension, and 8.3% had gestational diabetes during the pregnancy. And then, surprising to me, but not to the Hopkins neonatologist, is that 9.6% of newborns in the United States actually spend time in the NICU, the neonate ICU. 5.6% need assisted ventilation immediately after birth. And let's see, another one is very preterm birth, 32 weeks, 2.1%. And then the other surprising thing to me was the payer information. So in the United States, I thought most people have private insurance, but in fact, private insurance only paid for 51.2% of the births, and Medicaid, which is the program for low-income families, paid for 40.6% of the births. So if you may have been following in news that under the Trump administration, they want to make cuts to Medicaid. And so that will probably have a very big impact on births and birth outcomes. So this conclusion is that we converted the 2021 US live birth data to the OMOP CDM. And this is a blueprint now for converting other years' live births. And so we have now an opportunity to evaluate and understand population trends in maternal and neonatal health by looking at across the years, like if there are changes, say, in cesarean section or payment or like birth weight. And then because every country maintains databases of vital statistics. We hope we'll be able to do some cross-national comparisons as well. So that's it. Oh, yeah, those are my collaborators. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Since we have Chang on here, who is a pediatrician, so Chang, like, what's the average of the Korean newborn babies? Like average weight, like in the U.S. it's like 3.6 kilograms. Do you have any ideas with that?
I think
'Cause-
the average weights of newborn babies are pretty much similar in
Oh, really?
most countries. Yeah,
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
it's
Because
not that different from this
Okay.
distribution, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
That's good. All right.
On the floor, do you guys have any questions with the?
So anyway, if there's anyone,
Mhm.
if your country has birth data and you
Mhm.
would like to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'd really be interested to see if
Mhm.
you'd be interested in doing like a cross-national comparison. I see Chi
Yeah.
has his hand up.
Yeah, I have a question,
Chi.
Cynthia, for Cynthia. Now you said that database is free download from CDC.
Yeah,
Now, how it doesn't come with the parent's name, right, in that form?
correct. Right. It's all
But
anonymized.
it has a identifier, right?
Yes, but we
Oh.
don't know if the identifier is like a continuously, auto incremented. So the same
Oh, I see, I see.
identifier may not be the identifier from previous years. So if like a mother's
I
had
see.
3 or 4 births across the years, we don't have a way to track that.
All right. It doesn't have the parent age.
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does.
Yep, I have the age. Yep.
Hmm,
I forget what it
interesting.
is. Yep, we have the
Okay.
mother's age, father's age. Yeah, we have
Oh,
things
okay.
like APGAR score. We know about, yeah, like, birth defects. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of information.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's very helpful. I also have a question for the first presentation,
Blue.
the federated trial emulation.
Mhm.
So my question is, how is that different from the current way, the current PLE package, like population level estimation? I mean, it looks to me it's just compare two drugs, right?
Yes, but the goal is to do federated version of target trial emulation. So I think current way is each site runs the PLE package and then get effect estimates, and then the leading site will synthesize using meta-analysis. But correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, but our approach is by sharing this summary statistics, we can reconstruct the log likelihood of the objective function. So it's it's a lossless way of combining the data, doing the estimation. Yeah. So for meta-analysis, sometimes if the outcome is rare, the meta-analytic way of combining the effect estimates can lead to biased results. Yeah.
Song is, do you know how
Sorry.
is Song there?
Yes, I'm here, but Chi, is this prediction or PLE? Sorry.
This
Because
looks to me PLE to me.
Chungsu, do you have anything to add before? Like I'm not very confident right now. Chungsu?
I'd like to add Chi's question to Lou. I'm just wondered, I followed Dr. Yongchen's group work, and I know Yongchen's group continuously build a lossless framework for each statistical algorithm. I'm always admiring that work. And then for my question is, how can it be differentiate from the previous ODAC algorithm, like lossless Cox model algorithm? Because the target trial emulation also used the Cox proportional hazard model. So how can we differentiate two things?
Yeah. So like target triangulation, it doesn't have to be always using like Cox model, because
Right.
sometimes we can use like conditional Poisson model or logistic model. Yeah. So this our approach is reconstructing the log likelihood for the like using the summary level statistics. So it's based on the log likelihood, and we can solve it using maximum likelihood estimation. So this is the like gives identical results as if we have the pooled data. But if we use like meta-analytic approaches, it's first doing the estimation at each local site and then sharing the effect estimates and then do the aggregation. So if the outcome is rare, sometimes the meta-analytic approach has been shown in previous publications that it can lead to a biased results, can have a larger bias. But our approach, since it's reconstructing the likelihood function and doing the optimization, it gives the identical results as if the data were pooled together.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Gee, I'm sorry. To be very honest with you, I was just multitasking. I missed the question. What's your question? I know we're at time, but yeah.
Well, my question is, how is this different from our current way of PLE package? It looks to me it is compared to drugs doing federated analysis.
And Lou's response to that was, sorry.
Yeah, let me see. I've used the PLP package. For the PLE package, so does it require you have the data access to each of the database for the data partners?
No,
it's a federated manner. Yeah. So we send the R package, and each data partners would run that R package. And essentially what the R package would do is, between two groups of drugs, what is the risk of this B outcome, right? So this is how the PLE package functions. I think what she's saying is what you've described seems very similar to how that approach works, right?
Yeah, so their goal is the same, is to run federated target triangulation. But I think in PLE, what you're describing is that at each site, you will first estimate the like treatment effects using local data, and then share the estimated effect size, and then do the combine. But in our case, so in your description, it's basically at each local site, you will do this log likelihood optimization to estimate the local parameters, and then aggregate the parameters using like estimated effect sizes using approaches like meta-analysis. And our approach is by sharing these summary level statistics, you can get a result that is identical to as if you had access to all the data at local sites without sharing the actual data, but sharing some summary statistics. Because we first obtain the summary statistics and then do the log likelihood. And this log likelihood is equivalent to the log likelihood that we could get if we have all the data pooled together. So the difference between the two approaches is that the second approach is guaranteed to be lossless, but the first approach, if the outcome is rare, sometimes the local estimates can be unstable and can be biased. And when we further combine it using meta-analysis, it could lead to larger bias. Yeah. So not guaranteed to be lossless.
I'm not a tech savvy person, but I think this, in a nutshell, I think what this model does is it does some sort of, there's an algorithm that handles bias around outcomes that are rare if you do a federated approach. But again, somebody else might be more equipped to explain this in a less technical manner. But I think I understand, Chi. I don't know if Lou's response has answered your question.
Wait, this is federated learning versus federated analysis, right? Is that what we're trying to differentiate?
I don't think so, Mui.
No?
I think the first is more like meta-analytic approach.
Got it.
Yeah, using the PLE package is more like meta-analytic approach. Yeah.
Correct. So we would take individual data partners results, and typically a meta-analysis will be conducted. But I think, Lou, what you were just saying is if you take that approach, there might be a bias in cases where the outcome is very low and rare, and the hazard ratios might end up being overestimated or underestimated in certain cases. Whereas
Yes.
for your specific model, it takes account into those scenarios, and you express that as lossless. So I don't know what lossless means from a tech or statistical point of view, but I do understand that it accounts for those situations. And that is the difference between the current OHDSI PLE approach versus what your current team is doing. Is that an accurate summary, Lou?
Yeah, basically we achieve the lossless by reconstructing the log likelihood.
Log likelihood, okay.
Yeah. It's the same function that you'll be optimizing if you had all the access to the pooled data.
So the log likelihood emulates a scenario where all the data is pooled into one database, and a analysis is done on the pooled database. Okay.
Yeah, it achieves it by using the shared summary statistics. Yes.
Okay,
Chi,
thank
did that
you,
help?
guys. Yeah, that helped. Yeah.
Thanks, Song and Key, for bringing up the questions here. And anyone else has questions, please contact each presenters. And yeah, and we are like 5 minutes past, so I think I'm gonna wrap up this month's community call. But I've been always trying to like organize this community call with like various topics, and so I hope today's community call was very helpful to everyone. So thank you everyone for joining the call here, and I will see you next month. And okay, bye everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
thanks,
Juan.
Guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Juan,
Bye.
for leading the call. Excellent
Oh
job.
yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.